BAM has been our philosophy of our program, and we're going to continue the BAM philosophy we have. But our big mantra this offseason has been believe, and believing in each other, believing in the new coaching staff, and believing that we can have a successful season. And so that's been our main focus as far as trying to change the mindset of our team as we continue our transition into the Sun Belt and getting our scholarship levels to where they need to be and be competitive and make a bowl game and ultimately win the Sun Belt championship. So that's what we've started doing this offseason. We've had a good summer, and we're ready to get after it. August 1st is our report date, and then we open our new stadium. Brooks Stadium will have 21,000 capacity, and it'll be August 31st versus Eastern Michigan. So we're looking forward to that opportunity there. And I'll open it up with questions after that. Any questions that we have?
Just a reminder to the media asking questions, you have to use the microphone because we're having these transcribed. So please make sure you use the microphone when you're asking a question.
Josh Orozco, KTSW 89.9. You mentioned being an interim head coach and also an offensive coordinator. How has that prepared you to become the head coach?
Well, I've been a head coach before, so this is my, if you count the interim, this is my 5th time actually of being a head coach. So I don't, the preparation as far as that is not much different. The challenge is when you become a head coach, the challenge is the transition typically to a new place. Well, I've been here, so that I already know about the skeletons in the closet. I think the biggest change is you go from an offensive coordinator and interim. When you're the interim, you're the substitute teacher, so you don't get listened to most of the time. And then as the offensive coordinator, you're mostly dealing with guys on the offensive side of the ball, not special teams and defense. So being a head coach before, I understand that you have to bring all those groups together for a common purpose. And so part of our believe that I talked to you about is we took the I out of believe and put a 1. And so it's one team, one family, one purpose, and trying to bring everybody together for that purpose. So that's what we're trying to do.
Hi, Coach. I found it fascinating that obviously you've been a head coach before, but also as the offensive coordinator prior, you've hired 2 people to replace you. What was the logic in 2, and how is that going to work mechanically? Who's going to do the play calls, and is someone going to be up in the booth, et cetera?
Great question. So as I transitioned to the head coach, we brought in a new coach, a wide receiver coach. I moved our wide receiver coach to quarterbacks, co-offensive coordinator with our running backs coach. And so our quarterback coach will handle a lot of the pass game thoughts. Our running back coach will handle most of the run game. And then they meet with me. I'll still be the one calling it right now on game day. But they will meet with me, and we'll specifically go through what the game plan is going to be with my input. But that allows me to really focus on the rest of the team and the things that I need to do as far as the head coach, and then use their input. Both of those coaches have been with me since 2000. One of them's been with me since 2009. The other one since 2013. Also, the one from 2013 played for me as well. So we have a great relationship. And so that was the thought process behind it. I wanted to make sure we were covered in both aspects, pass and run game, but also that I could put most of my time that I needed to into the team, helping develop them while they could help with coordinating the offense. Thank you for that.
Hey, Coach. Andrew Zimmel, University Star. You brought 2 bigger guys here. You brought an offensive and defensive lineman. Is that where your mindset is right now, building in the trenches?
Good question. First of all, I knew they were going to get fed well, so I wanted to take care of them. All right, that was the first of all, especially last night. And then 2, yes, more than anything with our program, I want the other people in this conference, the players and the coaches, to say, you know what, that team is a physical football team. And that is the area that we have to improve tremendously. That's the hardest area, in my opinion, when you're making the jump we made the jump from FCS to FBS to try to, scholarship-wise, it's not your skill guys. It's trying to get your depth at offensive line and defensive line. And the number of scholarships, when you get to 85, we're not there yet. That's where you get hurt the most. And so that has to be our emphasis going forward. I was a lineman growing up at heart. I love to eat. And so I have a soft spot for those guys. But yes, our mindset has to be that we want to be a physical football team in all areas, but it starts up front. And those guys are great representatives. Trey and Teron, in day and age of when you have the portal and want to leave and all these different things, they've been through, an interim coach and leaving. Teron's been through 3 different coaches, D-line coaches. Those guys could have chose to leave, but they chose to stay true to who they were in this program. And they're great representatives of us. Regardless of what they do, they're both great players, but they both have high GPAs. They both are great in the community. And so those guys have earned the right to be here.
Coach, Jude McLaren here, KTSW San Marcos. So Fred Payton saw the most action out of your returning QB group last year. So how much has his development played into the QB battle going into the fall?
Good question. So Fred actually, for a freshman, had some really good outings last year. And then this spring was really the number one guy going into the spring. He did not take the job like he needed to. Bryce Carpenter, who also played some as a freshman, him and Fred battled it out. And so, unfortunately, I wanted one of those guys to win the job this spring, and they were just too inconsistent. So we go into the this season or this fall camp with really not a one solidified. Now, I feel great about both those young men as far as whoever it is that they both can play and help lead us to wins. Fred, if Fred learns how to be consistent, learns how to control his emotions. As a young kid, he was a little emotional. He has a chance to be really a special player in this league, I believe. And so the experience they did get, there were some wins and there were some heartaches, but the experience they did get, I hope, will carry over where the mistakes they made, they can learn from them and not make them. Because we need to. We're still young in a lot of areas. And receiver, tight end, offensive line still, everywhere really, and quarterback, true sophomores. Both of them, I think, played 5-6 games. So, but I feel good about both those guys and what they can become.
Coach, obviously you're very familiar with the teams last season. The last several games didn't go so well, kind of fell apart a little bit. What, in your opinion, happened, and how are you addressing it heading into this season?
Great question. We were sitting at 5-3 with the opportunity to get to that 6th win and have a chance to be bowl eligible, and we. Unfortunately, we played probably the 3 best teams in the league towards the end. That was part of it. But we had some adversity, and we didn't handle it the right way. As soon as, we played App State there, and they beat us in a hard-fought game there. And after that game, we had some infighting, I believe, among our players in our locker room, and it sort of splintered us. And we did not, for whatever reason, were able to overcome that. And we struggled just really as a team playing those last 4 games and didn't really play together. And so our big focus, as I mentioned earlier, off-season is no matter what happens, adversity that we find, we're going to play together, we're going to stick together. So we've done a lot this off-season as far as trying to build a team bond, as far as the guys trying to be together and being one. And so, and if hopefully we're in that situation again when we get some adversity, it won't break us. It'll make us tougher and we'll be able to push through it. But that was the biggest challenge, I think, last year. We were close, but when that adversity came, we didn't know how to overcome it. And so we spent a lot of time this off-season, the summer, trying to change that mindset as far as focusing on what we control. And adversity is part of it. How you respond to that is how successful you're going to be. We're all going to go through it at some point. We unfortunately, we had the hurricane where we were displaced for a long time. We went through some of those things, and I think that took a tear on us, a wear and tear on us, and we weren't able to overcome it. But nobody's going to feel sorry for you. So we got to find a way to overcome it this year.
Hey, Coach, Matthew Schwartz, KIT in Jonesboro, Arkansas. I just want to get your thoughts on Arkansas State. They came down to your place last year. I guess gave you guys a pretty good challenge, so you got to make the trek out that way this year. Just thoughts on taking on the Red Bulls this year.
Well, they're, I think athletically, talent, size-wise, they're probably the best in the league as far as that. And the last 2 years, they've taken to us. We're not overall the depth-wise, the size-wise, competitive-wise where we need to be to compete with them consistently. And they've been, for a long time, they were the model of this league, and Blake's done a great job there. We have to learn how to, part of that, as I mentioned earlier, we had that adversity, and then they come in there and they smack us in the face early, and we sort of folded. And so for us to be able to compete with the best teams in this league, we got to learn how to get punched and punch back. And sometimes right now we're not being able to do that. But that trip is, they're highly successful in Jonesboro. You got to stay in Memphis, then drive in there, and then the crowd's good. It's a great place to be. I'm assuming y'all have the waterfall up now in the stands, so we're looking forward to doing that. Hopefully we'll take a victory swim in that maybe after the game. So thank you for the question. That it? Good.
Last thing is, I know people have asked you this 100,000 times now, but what is a Chanticleer?
What is a Chanticleer? Yeah, this is. So I'm going to give you some history. So we were the University of South Carolina at Coastal for a long time. In 1993, we became Coastal Carolina University, and so the South Carolina is the Gamecock. So the people that were still associated with us wanted to have something similar to that. So in Jeffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, he talks of a barnyard animal that's the fiercest animal in the barnyard, that uses his cunning and wit to be the fiercest animal, and that was the Chanticleer. And so that's where the Chanticleer name came from. So if you yeah, it's a mean chicken. So if you passed English in high school and you actually did something, you should know that.
So, okay, follow-up question. Who's the most Chanticleer?
Who's the most Chanticleer? That'd be good. Right now, I'm gonna have to say Matt Hogue, our AD, since he's here. So, but if you can, most people when they see it, our little mantra is this right here. It's called Chance Up. It's supposed to look like the beak, but everybody sees it and they say chance because it looks like chance. So you got to call it chance. My guys from Louisiana will call them out on radio. They called it chance. They called it wrong all morning. So don't listen to Louisiana radio. So. Anybody
Coach,
else?
there's a few new head coaches in this league, including Jake Spavital from Texas State. What are your initial thoughts on Spavital and having to face him this season?
Well, I think whatever he uses in his hair, it looks good. He's always got his hair looking great. So he obviously knows that. Jake's obviously coached a lot of great places, coached at some great places, been a part of some great teams, really great quarterback. So the thing that you're anticipating is they're going to be really good offensively. They're going to play hard. If you judge him by the places that he's been, and he's going to put a system in place where they're going to be, highly successful. So, and then obviously being in the state of Texas with the recruiting area and his ties, I mean, I think that Texas State made obviously a smart hire by hiring him. I think they're ready to take off. They've had some talent there for whatever reason, maybe not figured out how to get it done. I'm sure he'll do that. Hopefully just not when he plays the Chanticleers.